Alrighty, game number 2. Let's do it. In game, and we are back, guys. Welcome back to the Viper versus Dogao, and we're here with game number 2 of the evening for what should be a pretty awesome set of games. Game number 1 was pretty immense, let's be honest. Dogao really playing well, but Viper just taking it in the late game, which is where he always shines. So it's been a very good good first game, and I'm hoping that will continue into game number 2 as well, of course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as we go into the Chinese war now, with Viper up to the northeast playing in the yellow, and Dogao down to the southwest in the blue. Chinese for both players, and again, another great civ. The Persians, they're always fun to watch just because of how diverse their tech tree is. And the Chinese are similar. The Chinese are pretty diverse. They have a lot of options. They have really good cavalry, of course. They have great archers since they're an archer civ. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes down. I kind of, hope we see a little bit more siege in this one. I think maybe we'll see some kind of standard meta play up until the Castle Age, and then after that it's all up for grabs, or we don't know what's going to happen next. But yeah, with the Chinese, generally speaking, it's unlikely that they will do a drush, and the reason for that is because they do tend to get off to a slower start with the food income. More often than not, Chinese players don't drush, but it's certainly not out of the question that a drush fast castle could be on the cards. It does depend, of course, on the map and whether or not a drush is, I suppose, necessary. Some players may feel that they're more comfortable drushing, and they'll do it anyway. But yes, the drush, unlikely, but could happen. And then, most likely, we'll see a fast feudal into maybe scouts, and maybe then archers. It's certainly not uncommon to see Chinese going for scouts, and they can do scouts pretty well. In fact, I think I saw a Viper game where he played Chinese, and he did go scouts, and then he did nothing but scouts, and then he went light cavalry, which is always a fun build order, though very difficult to pull off, and I think one that is really situational, but still, it can happen, can work. But yes, probably scouts into archers, but then again, it's certainly not off of the table that we will see players go straight into archers. And again, I think that can be influenced a lot by the map. So let's take a look at the map and talk about what that could mean for the players. So once again, the Viper's got a really nice deer patch, very close to his town center. And the reason this is a good deer patch is just because there's no obstruction between the deer and the TC. The clearer the line, the path between the deer and the town center, the better. Because that means you don't have as many obstacles to push the deer around, and that's always nice. Dogao doesn't really have such a nice deer patch. It is further away, and it's a bit more hilly. It's probably not really going to cause him too many problems, but I kind of doubt he's going to want to push those in, whereas Viper may just grab a deer from out on this right side. He may not, but it may influence him to go scouts. Who knows? He's got a forward gold, which is not so nice at all. Obviously, that's not going to be too difficult to defend because it's reasonably close to the town center. But if obviously Dogao goes for archers later down the line, then of course archers here could start picking these villagers, and there's no really easy way for the Viper to wall this, since he's got a pretty horrible, sort of wall position. Wood line. That's what I'm getting distracted by the chat. But he's got a pretty horrible wood position when it comes to the front of his base. He can, of course, secure this, and he can wall out sort of out here to try and protect these villagers at the back. And he's obviously got this back wood as well, but the gold's not so nice. Viper, I think, saying unfortunate to Dogao's gold, because Dogao also has a pretty forward gold on his side of the map. He's also sitting in a bit of a crater, I suppose. The entirety of Dogao's TC is surrounded by hill, and this is not so good when it comes to defending, because it means obviously anything that's underneath or below this ridge is going to have an attack bonus against it, so or attack disadvantage. Dogao here, if he has to flee any villagers towards the TC, Viper's Archer's going to be doing additional damage from the hill here, and for Dogao that really kind of sucks. The gold, obviously not in a great position, but it is reasonably defendable by walling here. But for now, Dogao not really showing any signs of walls coming up for the time being. At least he's got a backwood. There's always something. There's always some kind of positive. Until there isn't, and then you just ult F4 because there's no point playing. No, yeah, I like Age of Empires due to the fact that, you know, the map really can influence a lot of the game, and it is random. But at the same time, obviously you could argue that some games are literally won just because of the map. So, in the chat, Show Noise Tia, saying, do I think the Chinese start is a handicap or an advantage? Well, I think it's more of a handicap than anything. Obviously, the Chinese can get off to a really bad start. If they don't find their sheep very quickly, then the Chinese are going to be really far behind. If you find your sheep quickly, then it's fine, because you're not going to really fall behind in villager count, since you can immediately put 6 villagers on sheep, and then you're fine. It all comes down to finding your sheep. If you're too slow finding them, then you're going to be behind from the very start. However, if you find them really quickly, then you may get ahead, in fact, when you're against a non-Chinese player. But that can obviously influence a lot of things, because random generation, your sheep could be really far away, and that could really suck. But Viper here, nicely done. He's up to the Fuedal age, of course, so +2 attack on this scout, and Dogao immediately bringing out a spearman, but he's trying to harass the villagers here as they build the stable. These guys just spamming unfortunate at each other. That's funny. Oh, funny. But yeah, you can clearly see a big difference here already. Dogao going with a stable out on the front, and Viper here with an archery range. I'm surprised that he's going straight into archers, but okay, why not? I mean, it's certainly not unheard of for the Chinese to do that. They are an archer civ, after all. But yeah, going for scouts is perfectly fine. Going for archers is perfectly fine. I feel like the person who does the scout rush is going to have a small advantage at the start, because one archer will die to a scout very quickly, and obviously, yeah, I mean, you have to make sure you've got enough archers grouped up together before you can engage the scouts. Not to mention, of course, if you go straight into archers, you will be defending, because whoever goes for scouts will be able to cross the map faster than you, and you cannot afford to leave your base undefended. But Dogao here coming in at the perfect time. Unfortunately for the Viper, he's going to lose a villager here, and Dogao's going to scram, get out of the way of that spearman. But nicely done. And picking a quick villager there as Viper tries to wall across the front. And this is what I was saying about earlier on, with Viper having a pretty awkward gold. He does have to wall way out front here to keep this nice and safe, and even now it's still very much at risk. But nicely done by Dogao, focusing down the spearman. He doesn't lose the scout, and suddenly, look at this, Viper's got to run back. He doesn't have fletching, and that means that he's not going to be doing much damage to these scouts at all. We're looking at 2 damage per arrow, which means that these scouts need to be shot a total of 23 times to go down. So Viper needs 23 archers to one-shot these scouts, and obviously the scouts here, 5 damage versus 0 pierce armor. The scouts just need 6 hits, which is really very, very favorable for Dogao. Of course, though, there is the advantage with archers that you only need gold and wood, which means that Viper here isn't struggling for food at all. He can still keep his villagers coming out quite comfortably, though his TC was idle for a minute there, which is not so good. He is in here, getting into the wood line. This villager, she's on 4 HP, and Dogao, he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do it again. He's gonna suicide his entire army to try and get that final villager, and of course, Viper there laughing in Dogao's face as all 4 of those scouts go down. And I think maybe the Viper lost a single villager. I'm not entirely sure. But even still, for Dogao at this point, that's a big hit. And he's now had to fall back and start his own archer production. Or in fact, he's going for skirmishes because he's now in a defensive position. Why is he in a defensive position? Well, he just lost his army. He knows that Viper's going to immediately counterattack, and there it comes. The archers on the right side taking out the villager, and probably going to take out this spearman as well, because he's on a collision course with death right there. Immediately taken down, and in come the archers onto the wood line. Dogao's going to want to get out of there because he's not going to get his spearman, his skirmishes over in time. One more villager, gonna go down, maybe, but no. You see, this is the difference between the Viper and Dogao. The Viper, if he sees that his army is going to die, overextending for that villager kill, he'll retreat them away. Dogao? Nah, he's going to suicide his army for that final villager, and Viper knows it. And he's taken advantage of that, it seems, multiple times. But this is good. Dogao splitting his army here, and he's going to take down as many of these archers as he can. Either way for the Viper, he was in a pretty tough spot there. And this is a good play for Dogao going into skirms here. He's going to take this entire army down. There's no point for Viper to run anymore. And that was a great trade for Dogao there, bringing himself right back into this game as he now switches into archer production. Now, he's not going to go all into archers at this stage, but he's going to be wanting to get a few more farms up, going to think about the castle age very soon, and start just getting a few of those archers out while he defends with his skirmishes. But once again, Dogao, for some reason, getting his villagers in very awkward positions. I guess he's trying to wall this left side somehow, but that's pretty ambitious, let's be honest here, as this villager nearly dies. But Viper's coming in once again. He's keeping the pressure on. He likes to have the map control. But Dogao immediately heading him off with the skirmishes, and they both have fletching, so a huge advantage for Dogao in this fight. And Viper's literally just throwing his army away right now. This is messy stuff for him, and I feel like Viper maybe biting off a little more than he could chew with that counterattack, because now the advantage is shifted to Dogao, and he can pick off these lonely archers on the front and counterattack right back. He's got no reason at this point not to attack Viper's base. Now, this is unusual. Like, Viper here really taking the time to wall up properly here. The left flank completely walled. He had a temporary wall, and then he re-walled around the left side. He's walled across the front here. He's even putting a tower up on this gold. So this, to me, says that Viper's economy, you know, Viper's position is not very strong. The very fact that he has to build a watchtower here is really, really bad news for him, because that means now that he either has to take some stone or he has to basically forfeit getting a second town center once he reaches the castle age. For the time being, still working on those archers, of course, and Dogao here up to the castle age nice and quickly. And oftentimes, you know, when you're doing skirmishes, you do end up going to the castle age first. You know, I say a lot, you know, skirmishes, they cost you food. But if you're doing skirmishes, you generally make a few more farms. And at this stage, Dogao here on 17 farmers, whilst the Viper is just on the 15. And he's actually going to click up to castle really quickly in comparison to the Viper. Last game, it was very, very close. But this time, Dogao has the edge. He's going up at 20 minutes and 55 seconds. And Viper is yet to click up. He's still 150 food away. So this is really nice for Dogao at this point in time. He's got Viper right where he wants him, behind a wall. He's got the complete map control. And now, throwing up a second stable, it seems like he's going to be going straight into knights once he reaches the castle age. And now I think what he is thinking is that Viper, he'll see all these skirmishes, he'll see all these archers, and he might start making some skirmishes of his own, in which case that would be very good for Dogao to go knights. But not only that, but, you know, knights are going to be strong anyway, because if Dogao can break through these walls or find a hole in the Viper's wall, he's going to be able to raid really, really nicely. But Dogao here, just going to say hello to Viper's army. Viper not patrolling, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you patrol your army, because that villager would have been dead if the Viper was patrolling. Instead, they just walked straight by each other, and now Dogao is putting up a forward siege workshop. Viper has no idea. He's trying to counterattack. He will find a... No! What? She just entered the Matrix. I have no idea how she survived that, but oh my goodness me. Dogao is getting away with so much right now, and this is ridiculous. The siege workshop's up. He's about to hit castle. Or sorry, I should say he's already in the castle age. And he's going to go for either a mangonel or he's going to go for a ram. I think a mangonel would be good, since Viper is all in on crossbows or archers right now. But wow, Dogao is in a great spot. I would love to see Viper pull this back, just because it would be a very difficult position to pull it back from. But I think this could be even too difficult for the Viper at this stage. Dogao with the mangonel coming out, and man, I don't know. Maybe Viper's given it to his brother to play. I don't know, but no. Let's not discredit the Viper here. Dogao is just playing very well, and obviously Dogao is the top player as well. And at this level, these things happen. I mean, Viper isn't by no means invincible. But Viper here, crossbow, bodkin arrow, thumb ring. The 3 big upgrades on these crossbows here, on these archers, I should say. And Dogao going to go for the tower. Of course, Viper here with his knights, he's going to be able to try and take the mangonel down if the opportunity arises. And yeah, people in the chat maybe accusing Viper of match fixing now. He's throwing it for the florins, indeed. No, I don't think so. We can come up with as many excuses as we like, as many reasons as we like, but Dogao's just having a great game. He's got bloodlines on these knights, and it's actually, if you look at Dogao's production, nothing at these ranges. It's all knights right now, and I think that's really interesting. And I think that's really going to work well for Dogao, actually. Viper also going for knights as well. It could actually be, you know, for Viper here, wise perhaps to add a couple of camels in. But the Viper is in a bad position because his army is split. He's got knights at the back, and his crossbows are out, way out front, getting focused down by Dogao's army. Massive army here from him. He's got 9 additional military units at this point. He's also got 5 additional villages as well. So Dogao's finding every advantage at this stage. And the longer he has these additional villages as well, the more resources are going to be piling up in his favor. But oh, this fight is interesting. Dogao here will take down these crossbows, I'm sure, but he's going to take a lot of losses. He's going to lose a bunch of knights to these crossbows as they back themselves into a corner. But meanwhile, he's looking for another angle. He's going to take down the palisade on the left side, and the palisade really is not a good defense versus that many crossbows, and Viper will lose his army out the back. Dogao taking a few losses himself, but he's certainly got the military advantage still, with 33 military out compared to the Viper's 16. What's really worth noting at this stage is Viper is still only on 1 town center. Dogao just added his 2nd, so he's going to start pulling ahead in villages even more. Whilst Viper has 0 stone, he does not have a stone mine because his stone is out front, and he doesn't have the map control to take it. He's got stone on the left side, but again, his wall has been breached, and there's no easy access there at all. But Viper's Knights now doing some good work in here because, of course, Dogao has a lot of skirms mixed into his army, but he doesn't have bloodlines. So fighting one-on-one versus Dogao's Knights, Dogao will come out on top. This is a great game for Dogao right now. And I'm very much enjoying this one. I think Viper's Knights should be able to take this army down, but I can say doesn't want to fight the Knights of Dogao. I mean, the Knights should take out the archers and crossbows. Sorry, the crossbows and skirms. But he doesn't want to fight the knights. That's the key thing here for Viper. He doesn't want to fight those knights. And, you know, maybe even at this stage it's worth adding in a few spearmen or something, because there's not that many crossbows here from Dogao, and those spears would be good. Maybe at this stage it's time to say, okay, let's get some camels in here. The Chinese have the 2nd best camels in AOC, so there's literally no reason why camels would be off the cards. And let's be honest, Viper is in a very tough position. He is just defending right now. And yeah, I feel like maybe some spears are needed because he's not got access to gold, and this is a big one. This gold is under pressure, and a lot of villagers are idle in this watchtower, so Dogao can push him off of gold by just running his army in there, and suddenly Viper can't make any more gold units. He needs some spears or something. It needs that defense, and I don't really understand why he's not doing spears now, when in the Persian War, he was very quick to do pikemen. Very quick to do pikemen. Yeah. At this stage, though, a pretty good defense using the TC, using that tower as well. A lot of extra damage coming in for the Viper there. But honestly, I mean, I feel like camels are a good decision for sure at this point. Dogao, obviously adding another mangonel on this left side, and someone in the chat said, why is Dogao not adding more knights? Sorry, not knights, more siege. You're right, he should probably be looking to add some more siege in here. Really, I mean, Dogao's army probably took massive losses just because he didn't take out this tower first. And there's no reason why Dogao couldn't take that tower down. If he made a ram or something and pushed in with his whole army, he could have done that. But yeah, the reason Dogao's army just melted there was the TC, the tower, and Viper's army. All three of those things coming together to push him back. And actually, Dogao taking a lot of damage from this tower here. And it's like he doesn't even notice this, 7 damage per arrow coming in from the side, just constantly. Really whittling his army down, but I think Dogao just doesn't want to give up this map control. He wants to keep the Viper right where he is, right behind these walls, and he wants to pressure this gold as much as he can. And this is the right thing for Dogao to do, because it is clearly winning him the game, as the Viper calls GG. Yeah, indeed, Aku 4KV, the tower is the MVP, but Viper in the end there just couldn't keep it together. He did actually have a bit of gold, but I think that's the refund from the from these buildings. But yeah, I mean, he was just struggling to protect that, and the tower was doing a lot of damage. It was doing a lot of damage, but ultimately Dogao just kept the pressure up. Those knights with bloodlines and +2 defense were able to tank a lot of that damage, regardless of the fact that it was hammering out so much. But that worked out really well for Dogao, and that was very, very, very good game. And I told you last game, Dogao was looking strong. This time around, he pushed that advantage earlier, and he didn't let Viper stay neck and neck with him until the late game. So Dogao gets it, and that's going to be a 1-all for these guys so far. It was a pretty quick game, actually, and I